Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the Week 3 edition of Bob's Bets. I'm Paul Peck from Buffalo Sports Page. He is Bob Gaughan, gotten off to a good start through the first 2 weeks, which is always hard to figure, Bob. So as we roll into Week 3, are you getting a little better idea of who these teams in the NFL particularly really are starting to be?
Yeah, you got to watch every game. There's no substitute for watching the games, Paul. And you got to watch and you got to judge everything. And it's all information, and it's new information that comes on. And you got to be willing to change off of your original perceptions and go with it. So I think it's an ongoing process. But yeah, the more information that comes in, I think the better read you have on every team.
All right. Well, obviously, there's some teams that are 0-2 that are really starting to know where their season may be going. And then obviously some 2-0 teams that are feeling pretty good. An interesting matchup in our first game of the week pits one of those undefeated teams. The Chicago Bears are getting 3 points from the Falcons coming off that collapse against Dallas. Should I be surprised about this one, Bob?
You know what Vegas tells you there is who do they believe and who do they not believe. And you've got an 0-2 team giving 3 points to a 2-0 team. What does that tell you? It tells you exactly what I feel. I don't believe in the Bears. I don't think I believe in the Bears. I don't think you believe in the Bears. I don't think the Bears fans believe in the Bears right now. And as a result, Atlanta, who played two very difficult teams in Dallas, who's supposed to be pretty good, Seattle, who's supposed to be pretty good. So even though Atlanta is 0-2, I think Atlanta is going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it handily. I would have no qualms giving those 3 points. The Bears are a team that beat two suspect teams. They beat Detroit, and they should have lost to the Detroit team, and then they beat the Giants, and they barely beat the Giants. They didn't cover against the Giants. I'm not a Mitch Trubisky fan. I am a fan of Atlanta. I'm a fan of that offense. The fantasy owners will tell you Calvin Ridley is a stud opposite Julio Jones. I think they got a lot of weapons on that offense. So take the Falcons, lay the 3 points.
Interesting game as far as the lessons go and trying to figure out a season. You know, everybody throws around that when you start 0-2, your chances of making the playoffs are this percentage or that percentage. But in a lot of ways, like you said, sometimes an 0-2 or 2-0 has more to do with who you've played than who you really are.
Right, and I think that it's so important. You can't start 0-3. Atlanta, this is kind of a must-win for Atlanta, and that's another reason I kind of like the Falcons in this one. You can't go 0-3 and expect to make the playoffs.
All right, marquee game of the week in the NFL pits a pair of 2-0 teams that are legitimately good, legitimately 2-0. Not a lot of issues with either Baltimore or Kansas City in one of the great games of the season this week. Baltimore, 3.5-point favorites. Why do you like them?
Well, and here's the thing. You talk about you got a guy in Patrick Mahomes who's never lost by 2 scores. They're getting 3.5. You would think a lot of people are going to be all over Kansas City. Maybe a lot of people are all over Kansas City. But I think at this particular time, right now, and I think, maybe in January, if this is a copy of the AFC Championship game, I might change my opinion. But I think right now, Baltimore is the better team. You saw the Kansas City game. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, what bad luck he got getting, the doctor from hell, that gives punctures his lung. But the point about that was Herbert comes in. He has no practice whatsoever. He throws for over 300 yards.
He looked good.
Yeah, with no practice. So Tyrod probably never sees the field again. But how does a guy that didn't practice all week, gets thrown in at the last second, is a rookie, throws for over 300 yards? And I'll tell you, that defensive line gave Mahomes a lot of problems against with the Chargers last week. I wasn't impressed with Kansas City. Got some injuries there too. Sammy Watkins went out. I didn't think Tyreek Hill looked the same. I think Baltimore is rolling. I think Baltimore is going to give Mahomes a lot of problems. And I will give you the prediction that this is the first time since Patrick Mahomes has been in this league. I think they lose by more than 7 points. I'll take Baltimore. I'll lay the 3.5. It's gone down from 4 to 3.5. I'll still take Baltimore. I think they're the better team right now in September.
I don't think anybody would go out on a limb, is going out on a limb telling you that Baltimore may be the best team in the NFL. Seattle is in that conversation along with a couple others, but Baltimore, after last year and what they've already done this year, looks great. So that's going to be a terrific game. For our Western New York contingent of Bills fans that are fired up about their 2-0 start, a step up in competition to take on the Rams, where the Bills are still favored by 2.5, over under 47.5. This is a game that has a lot of people around Buffalo fired up. What do you think?
Well, this is tough, and I was wrong about the Rams. I'll be first to admit. I gave you guys future bets at the start of the year, and I hope you jumped on some of them. The Bills over 8.5 looks pretty good right now, and Josh Allen over 20.5 touchdowns looks really good right now. So I gave you some good ones, but one bad one I gave you was the Rams under. That does not look good right now. The Rams are a better football team than I thought. I do think it's difficult, though, Paul, going East Coast, back to West Coast, back to East Coast. I know that McVay is really good at those East Coast 1 o'clock starts, and he did have a great game last week against Philly, but I still think it's going to be difficult for there. You're giving up under a field goal. I think the key to this game, to me, Jared Goff, is getting him off his spot. He's really good. Now, they move him a lot, but when he is set up and he can throw the ball and he can deliver with the best of them. But when he moves a little bit, and the one thing the Bills are good at, I don't know if they have the great pass rush. I don't even know if I'd call them even nearly a great pass rush, but I think they do a good job of getting you off of your spot. And I think that will really screw up Jared Goff. So I do kind of like the Bills in this one. And as long as I have to give up under a field goal.
I'm excited for the Diggs versus Ramsey matchup because I think Stephon Diggs is the number one reason why Josh Allen has played as well as he has this year. But if Ramsey can take him out, that puts a lot more pressure on Allen to make the right decisions, to make the right reads, to look for somebody other than Diggs. That, to me, I think is the real battle within this game.
You're going to find out a lot about this Bills team the next couple of weeks. Let's face it. It's definitely a step up in competition. The Rams, the Raiders look, a lot better. Obviously, Tennessee is 2-0. Then you got Kansas City. So
guess what? All four of those teams are undefeated right now.
Right. So, let's go 4 weeks from now. This is what the fun of this year. Where are our perceptions of this team 4 weeks from now versus where it is right now? It might be different. Hey, it might even be better. Who knows? It's going to be a fun 4 weeks, though.
Yes, it is. All right. We do get, for the first time this season, big-time college football. The SEC is in action this weekend, and we always Bob always likes to drift a little bit into the college game, so we get to pick our first college game of the season here on Bob's Bets. With the SEC back, you're focused on the Kentucky-Auburn game with the Wildcats of Kentucky getting 7.5 points. Why do you like them?
Well, I'll tell you, it's almost a concern that everybody's on this game, Paul. But, the line came out when the first schedule came out. It was even higher. It was 8.5 at the start of this week. So you got to get it over a touchdown. Here's the reason. Kentucky's lines are better. Auburn had maybe the best lines in the SEC last year, but graduation kind of hurt them a lot. Didn't hurt Kentucky. So Kentucky's got the better offense, and they got the better defensive line. This is not your father's Kentucky team. A lot of times in college football, the perception is, this is the same Kentucky team from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. No, it's not. This is a much better Kentucky team. I think it's just way too many points. You got a quarterback in Wilson coming back. He got injured last year. Of course, Lynn Bowen came in, was wonderful. But Wilson is a veteran quarterback. He's got some starts under his belt. So, again, you got a quarterback that's veteran. You got the better offense, the better defensive line. I'm getting 7.5 points. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's take the Wildcats.
Yeah, and again, college football, even maybe more so the NFL, with late substitutions and guys not being able to play, it has been all over the board this year as far as knowing who's good, who's not good, along with the normal amount of that going into the beginning of a season with new players in new places. So I think you're onto something there. Kentucky's a pretty good, solid team on the rise. To get that many points against a big-name opponent, probably a pretty good idea.
Good to have college football back, Paul. I'll tell you.
Yes, it is. So some interesting games this week that Bob is focused on: Baltimore, Kansas City, Atlanta, liking the Atlanta Falcons, liking the Bills. and a little college football for you, liking those Kentucky Wildcats. It's week 3 of the NFL season. It's week, I don't know, 4, 5, or 1 for college football, depending on who you root for. But there you go. It's the way to go for you. It's Bob's Bets from BuffaloSportsPage.com.